Okay, so looks like we are live. And well, before I start first, and that's not my Twitch username. My Twitch username is this one. Just in case that moderator in the chat wanna update correctly the Franker Faces follow button, because that channel doesn't exist, so it's not gonna. This is not gonna show anything. So I will be glad if they can fix that. My username is Infantasmamas. I have put it. Okay, that was updated correctly. So I think that we are ready to start with this little dog block and continuing with the Disney games also with Disney block. So the time is gonna start when I get the movement of Donald. So it's gonna start on a beat. And okay, let's go. So okay, thank you, Donald. And yeah, that's one of the usual problems that somebody has here in this game. So this is Donald Duck Going Quackers. This is a game that was released back in the year 2000 for many platforms. So in total, this game has been released for 5 different platforms. Well, 5 different versions of the game for many platforms. But here I'm gonna talk about just 3 versions of the game, which are the home console versions. Version 1 is N64, Nintendo 64, Sega Dreamcast, and PC. Second version is PlayStation, and third version is PlayStation 2 and GameCube. Each version is different, making that the PS1 release is kinda unique. The category is called Any Person PS1 because it's the Any Person category for the PlayStation release. This was a game developed by Disney Interactive and published by Ubisoft. And this is a good example that since a long time ago, Ubisoft got a good amount of problems with some bugs, glitches, and all that kind of stuff with their games. Or well, with the games that they released. If somebody has played some 3D platforming games from the 90s, for example like Crash Bandicoot franchise, you will see that there's a lot of concepts that are repeated here, mostly with Crash Bandicoot Warp. Many people consider this as a kind of Crash Bandicoot for kids, and you know, they have reason in some way. But quitting the fact that unless it's easy to beat this game casually, the problem begins when somebody wanna run it. So the goal of this category is to collect all these energy orbs like this one in order to gain the knocked power to the Gyro's time machine in order to get and warp to the evil's Murloc pad. The plot of the game is that Daisy was working as a TV reporter and she was broadcasting. She was doing a live broadcast from the evil Wizard Murloc pad, but then Wizard discovered her. Murloc discovered her and decided to kidnap her. And then obviously Donald wanted to rescue her. So for this, what he needs to do first is to travel around the world to get some energy orbs that are gonna be helpful for the Gyro's time machine. And with it, he's gonna be able to go to the Evil's Wizard Murloc pad. The game is divided in 4 warp rooms. Each warp room has 4 stages, an unlockable stage, and the boss fight. For this category, we're not gonna see the unlockable. Yeah. Oh, okay, never mind. We're not gonna see the unlockable stage, which we get hitting that books and activating some toys. We need to collect 3 toys on each stage. And at the end, we need to talk with one of Donald's nephews who is covering the unlockable stage. But at the end, what do you get is just another costume. That's the reason why it's not required for this category. Which the fully completion of this version is 112%, while on the rest of the version it's just 100%. Why? I don't know. But for some reason, at the time that this game was developed, that was a reason for the developers. So during all this category, we're gonna be watching some kind of basic 3D movement. But the real challenge in the speedrunning is to remember where some orbs are, because some of them can be forgotten easily, or well, they're gonna be in front of you all the time, but you're not gonna notice them due to many factors. And also deal with the weird hitboxes that this game has, because sometimes there are some obstacles, there are gonna be some platforms and all that kind of stuff that for some reason the game's not gonna detect that you hit them correctly or that you have landed correctly, making that you receive damage, or well, that you fall in a hole and you lose a life. Usually in this first warp room, that's not something common to see. We're gonna start to watch this problem starting the second warp room. In this first warp room, we are in the forest, and the big city, which is the second warp room, is where all this kind of problems starts. Well, maybe the reason of that sound effect shared with Rayman is because Ubisoft worked in this game also. Yes, in some ways it's a kind of mixing between Rayman 2 and Crash 3. There are some elements that are repeated on this title. Basically, this is just a mix from 2D and 3D platforming action. With a bunch of weird hitboxes that for now I haven't got any problem with them, and I hope that I don't get them, at least for now. So every time, well, if you are trying to collect the toys, when you hit the book, there's gonna be a timer like we see on the screen. It's gonna activate it and we can catch the toy with this. As I've said before, I don't need to go for them. That deer is one of the problematic enemies in the game. Well, on this first zone of the game, first warp room. The reason of that is because it has a weird hitbox also, and I have used that book as an extra platform, because if you try to jump and reach that piece of wood, the game is sometimes not gonna recognize that you have landed on it. And this is the first problematic orb. The problematic orbs are the ones that you can easily forget, or you don't put so much attention to where the orb is. So usually for first runners, for newcomers of the game, this is one of the orbs that usually people used to forget. Even on a casual gameplay, if you don't put attention, you can miss all this kind of stuff, because the point of this game, casually talking, is that you need to check everything on the stage. You need to discover what is hiding in all the sections of the game. And now we get a little extended loading screen. And this is an issue that just happens when you play this game on a PlayStation 2 using the fastest speed mode. For now, this has been tested on a 77K and then a 90K PS2, which is the console that I'm using. And what does this make is that sometimes it's gonna delay the loading times. The reason why this happens, I don't know which is, because I am, for now, the only console runner of this game. The rest of the runners of the PS1 version uses an emulator. Besides of that, it's more faster to have to use the FDS and having extended loading screens, comparing this with just using the standard DC speed mode. The factor that when this happens is random. You never know when it's gonna happen or why it's gonna happen. But yeah, sometimes it happens. Also, if I receive damage, I'm gonna turn from the normal mood or regular mood to the Mad Dog pace. And what this is gonna make is that during the transformation to that pace, Dawn is gonna be mad. And if he receives damage again, he is gonna lose a life. And that mood shake, well, for the mood shake we can use the concept of the Aku Mask or in Crash Bandicoot games, or the Star for Super Mario games. because if you're on the regular mode, it gives to us the invincibility pace for some seconds. But if you are a mad dog and you catch a milkshake, you're gonna be back into the regular mood. And something really important, if you receive damage and during the transition there's a milkshake and you try to catch it, the milkshake is gonna disappear. So it's better to wait until you are fully into the mad dog pace in order to catch that. Maybe the game was just programmed? Honestly, I don't know, but for PS1 games, there are most of them, the best platform to play it is it's a 90K PS2, aka the last slim model. But I want to get a fat PS2 at 39K or 50K, which are the best models for games like Crash Team Racing or stuff like that. But I'm gonna explain that in a bit. So this is the first boss fight, Bernadette speak, and we're gonna see the first interesting speed fact of the game. So she's gonna start to fly in the air, but now I keep on this specific spot close to her foot. She's gonna stomp on the floor 4 times, and then I can kick her. The reason why I keep on that spot is because it's supposed that I need to keep moving, trying to avoid her, so I can cut a good amount of time if I just keep her on the same spot. 3 and 4. And each phase I just need to defeat these little chickens. This is the last phase. There are gonna be more chickens on the screen. 4 to be precise. 3. One, 2. Oh, okay. That was my mistake. I wasn't at the correct spot in order to keep her quiet, because her food doesn't make too much damage. It's another section of the world that I don't want to mention, just in case. And well, this was the first. It was the first boss fight. This was the first warp room. It's time to move to the big city, which is the next warp room in the game. Also, when I try to enter to these warping platforms, as we have seen at the start of the run, I need to be precise, because otherwise the game is not gonna recognize that I'm entering to the stage, and instead of that we're gonna see that Donald is jumping. With it, I think that we can have the best concept about the weird hit boxes and detection boxes that this game in general has. And also, I will be catching these extra lives for the memes, because lives are not so important. It's so easy to get lives on this game. And it's not so common to die, unless the game is kinda troll. Talking about running the game, maybe casually talking, the last 2 warp rooms are the ones that makes the players lose a bunch of lives. So something that we are gonna be watching during all the run, it's that this is a marvelous game, since it's not like another video games that usually before the last stage you have seen everything, talking about all the kind of obstacles, all the kind of enemies, and stage designs, all that kind of stuff. Even on the last stage there are new enemies, so this is something really cool about this title. So we do some precise movements here in order to avoid that steam. Just keep walking. That dog looks so rude. And for these big guys that I'm gonna be using as platforms, I need to jump and kick them, otherwise they're not gonna fall down. Okay, I was close to receive damage there. And it's important to don't receive damage on this last section of the game, because sometimes that dog is kinda troll with its hitbox, but it wasn't a problem at the end. And yes, PS2 is cheap, but there are some people who is trying to sell a PS4 at the price of a damaged PS4, so sometimes it's not an easy task to locate these consoles. Starting on the roofs, we start with the second problematic orb of the king. Because this is one of the best hidden orbs. Because the game tricks you to forget that you need to go for the energy orb, and instead of that, you're just gonna collect an extra life. We're gonna see that later on the stage. So now we have fully a 3D perspective of the game. Well, not fully, there are some sections that are gonna be 2D. I like to put on that spot where the star was, because for some reason I don't used to die trying to jump in order to reach the next platform. And also each blue stars gives to us 5 stars, and the yellow stars are the regular ones. This is a problematic orb I was talking, because there's a life next to a hole. So I think that the intention of the developers was that when you were messing around on this stage, you will find the extra life and you will try to catch it instead of putting attention that the orb was hidden behind that door, and you need to kick the TNT that appears in order to break the door and collect the energy orb. Here with roof troops, we start here with one of the stages that are a good example about the tricky movements that you will need to do during the game. Because as I've said before, the detection boxes of this game are kinda weird. And here there are a lot of obstacles so close to Donald's regular movement. So for speedrunning purposes, this can be kinda complicated, because it's supposed that you need to stop and wait until the cycle about the function of the obstacle finishes, and then you start to move. Well, obviously if it has a cycle when it stops, because there are another obstacles like that, electrical boxes, that you need to avoid them, but again, you need to remember that maybe there's another obstacle so close that can be a big problem. I don't consider this as a problematic orb, but if you don't pay attention correctly to the screen, you're not gonna watch it. So it's gonna be something really good if I don't lose lives here. I decided to wait there because that steam makes damage to us. And now we start with the complicated section. So I'm gonna be trying to stop in some spots. Okay, I was lucky there in talking about not receiving damage. Because that steam also, it's not so quite helpful. So let's see, that's one jump. That's another jump. Oh my god, I felt for a moment that I was gonna fall down there. I really hate this section. And there we go, that was good, I haven't died. Yeah, very generous with the 1-ups, honestly. Because as I've said before, it's so easy to get them, because the game was designed mostly for kids, and I played this for the first time. I think that it was... I don't remember exactly if it was in 2002 or 2003, but it was like when I was 6 or 7 years old when I played this game for the first time. Also, on all territories, this game was called Donald Duck Quack Attack. And it's curious to mention this because on all territories, Quack Attack sold very well. in all of its versions, and for example with the PS1 release, the game was re-released into the Platinum Hits line, which is the line for the game that has sold very well. And that wasn't the case in NTSC territories, aka America. This game wasn't released in Japan. The game hasn't sold very well, so there's no greatest hits copy of this title. Also, if somebody is collecting PS1 games and wanna collect this game, or well, wanna learn this game in the future and wanna try to get a PS1 copy of this game, the only thing that I can say to you guys is that it's not so expensive. Maybe the most expensive copy of this game that you will find is at $30, but it's so weird to find them at that price. Usually you find it between $10 to $20. But the problem is that it's not an easy game to locate. You are gonna find most PAL copies, but in the PAL version Donald moves so slow, and the loading times are longer, so you will prefer to give it a try to the American release. Hard to find, but not expensive, fortunately. Because as I've said before, this game hasn't sold very well in NTSC territories. And yes, that's true, most of the copies will not be on a good shape, because the only copy that I was able to find in my country cost me like between $16 to $18, including shipment. And the manual is not in a good condition. The disc is kinda decent, and some parts of the manual were cut with some scissors, so... Anyways, Beagle's Boys Tower, second boss fight. This is not a complicated boss again. He's gonna throw the Wrecking Ball 3 times, the machine is gonna get stuck, he's gonna try to fix it, and then we use that moment, to kick him. Then he's gonna start to throw some bombs. And what I recommend here is just to keep jumping on the air, because if you keep walking, sometimes the weird hitboxes can attack again. And now we're gonna have a little twist, some parts of the roof are gonna fall down. Fortunately, the parts of the roof that falls down are the same all the time, so you don't need to get worried about this. Because it's gonna have it's gonna look like a D-pad, the roof, on a bit. And now he's gonna start to throw slightly faster the bombs. But if I keep moving and jumping at the same time, the bombs shouldn't be a big problem for me. Well, between cards and discs there are some differences. Each way to store data has their good and negative points. But I never owned any cartridge-based console. My first console was a PS1. And now this was the last hit, and there we go! Second boss fight, and officially we have beaten the half of a game, talking about the any-person route. My PB in this title is it's a 51 flat. I'm at 6th place, and as I said before, I am the only console runner of this game. So if somebody wanna run this game in the future and wanna help with doing some tests in consoles, you're gonna be well received. Yeah, there's so much death, so much violence for a Disney game. And we're talking about a pre-Kingdom Hearts era. Now, we start with the Hounded Mansion. Fortunately, the weird hitboxes wasn't a big problem here. Well, on the last warp room, but here maybe we're gonna have some little issues. Hopefully everything is gonna be fine. I'm gonna have these kind of Frankenstein enemies that are easy to avoid, but also they can be helpful as jumping platforms in some specific spots. Tricky lie. I got it. The game makes that you go for this kind of lives on a risky way. I don't know, I consider that as something really interesting. Because usually that's not so common to see in video games. But for some reason the developers wanted to do it out on this title. And also for some reason, even with the invisibility pace, I cannot beat that enemy. I need to jump over him. I'm not gonna go for that. Live, I have already 33. And in case that you were wondering, no, you cannot deactivate that HUD on the screen. So if you play this game for a long time on a CRT, maybe your screen is gonna be burned thanks to that. But since I'm playing this game on an LCD TV, I don't think there's gonna be a problem. And yes, people, I use an LCD TV for retro games. And I'm not using any kind of upscaler. Blame on me. Sorry guys. I thought that nobody was wondering to hear that, but that's true. I failed. I'm a failure for the retro gaming community. I hope that you can apologize me about that. But well, honestly, I am using a capture card, which turns the analog signal to digital through HDMI, so I don't think there's gonna be a problem. And this is another problematic orb, because the intention of this is that if you have seen, there was a toy next to the orb. So the intention here with the developers is that when you were collecting the toys and you went for a third toy, you're gonna find the orb. So this is another common orb to forget. But since I have played this for a good amount of time, I don't think I'm gonna forget them. Yeah, as I've said before, you can consider this as a kind of Crash Bandicoot clone for kindergarten kids. I hope that I have said that correctly, because English is not my principal language, but I'm trying to do my best. And sometimes I get some misunderstood situations thanks to that. This prisoner with that ball, I can consider him as the problematic enemy from this warp room. But also this enemy incoming, the ones are the most problematic because you're never gonna understand how those their hitboxes works. Because for some reason they like to make damage to Donald. And on this section, this kind of sections is tricky to try to keep on the regular pace. Because in all the game, most of these stages, you're gonna be glad if you get the invincibility frames. Well, the invincibility pace. And mostly because there's a lot of obstacles that can be tricky to avoid when you have received damage. And also some stuff like that moving platform had a weird perspective, a weird point of view. This orb is easy to remember because it's close to this checkpoint. But on my first runs, I forgot that orb at one time. So, for example, if you finish in a stage, you have forgot the orb. The good example about that you have missed it is that one of the lights outside the stage doesn't turn on, and also you don't see animation of Donald releasing the orb. There I received damage because I haven't moved at the correct time, and I prefer to wait just a little bit with that orb. And again, another extended loading screen. Fortunately, this hasn't been the longest extended loading screens, because there have been some times that I got like 10 seconds of an extended loading screen and looks like if the game has crashed. Blue is Creepy Corridor, one of the two problematic stages of this warp room. And with problematic, I am trying to refer that this stage has a lot of obstacles. Mostly with the obstacles are the problem, and the physics with the floor detection. And this is something that probably anybody's gonna notice on a speedrun, but it is you can notice this mostly on casual playthroughs. But on this game, for some reason, after every checkpoint, the music pattern changes. This is not so common to notice on a speedrun for obvious reasons. But if you play the game casually, you're gonna notice that the music is gonna be changing constantly. Okay, I forgot that I needed to move on these platforms. Okay, I'm gonna assume that the orb wasn't down there. Because since I got distracted, I forgot everything. Okay, tricky section. There we go, I got it. So now, due to the amount of obstacles, I'm gonna try to keep quiet here. Well, not so quiet, but I'm gonna try to play a little safely, and with a little I refer that I don't wanna lose more time, so I'm gonna be trying to don't risk so much. Don't take so many risks. Some steam's gonna here, and we have the orb here. And now this is the most awful section of the game if you are on the Mad Dog pace. I think there's one glitch close here. But anyways, I need to be careful. Well, at least I reached the checkpoint, so I could make that Donald lose alive here, but I don't want to do that. Because I don't know, my mind feels that I lose more time if I try to do that instead of just trying to beat this slow. And this is the awful section I was talking about. I'm gonna wait until the ball falls down again, just to play more safely. No! Oh my god, this was bad. Okay. Mental note, if I receive damage again and I reach that checkpoint, I will prefer to lose a life instead of waiting until that happens, because I got trolled by that drop the input. But it's fine, it's fine. That wasn't a big problematic death, fortunately. Obviously, I'm gonna lose time thanks to that, but not so much, fortunately. Which I'm really glad about that. Slightly extended loading screen. So now, if you haven't gone Quackers, this is the moment to go Ghostly Pet. By popular opinion of the few people that runs this video game, and with few I want to refer to two Chilean runners and myself. Well, not myself at all, but and also a couple of French runners, is that this is the worst stage from all the game. Some people say that, but I don't agree at all with it. But I can agree that it's complicated to beat it, Deathless. Here there's a mix of different obstacles and enemies that makes that the mission of being hitless turns into a real challenge in the game. Fortunately, the cycles are the same, but if I die, the cycles are gonna keep going. They'll never get reset or something. So I'm gonna try to use that in my favor. Okay, I was close to receive damage there. Well, not 43. Well, 43 lives. Yeah, left. That's true. Well, now 44. I'm gonna wait. I have jumped. Okay. For a moment, I thought that the game was again not recognizing that I was jumping. No! Why this game is like this? Well, I got example about what this is annoying. I think at the first run that I have done of this game, I have died like 6 times at this stage, and again I received damage. But I have seen which ones were my mistakes, so I'm gonna try to play safely. Well, not really. Yeah, you can spam the any rest in peace emote. I don't care. That's just a good reminder for me for being in a yellow mode. Another problematic orb. Another well-hidden orb. Found a milkshake. Found a checkpoint. I find an annoying enemy. I find another breaking ball. What is this? Donald hide and seek? And for some reason, if I keep quiet, the animation changes. Okay, I received damage again. This shouldn't be a big problem. Just a drop input can choke everything up to this point. Yes, I catch the milkshake, but I got the issue with the awful detection boxes of the floor. So more time lost incoming. And this sucks because this is one of the stages where you waste a huge amount of time. You die. Because something really common on this kind of games is that the distance between the checkpoints is not so big. And I receive damage again. The distance between checkpoints are not so big, but this is not the case with this game. There are miles away, kilometers away between each checkpoint. Yeah, I got it. And I don't know what happened when this was the last section of the stage, so you can make yourselves an idea about how much time did I have lost. I come in like wrecking ball. Maybe? I don't know. I haven't put attention, honestly. And now the worst boss of the game, by excellence, Magica's Devil's Hump. What's gonna happen here is that we're gonna have a kind of retrospective to Bernadette with the little enemies. Here's gonna be a spawn too, but the difference is that Magica is gonna be throwing some snow brothers. Remembering Snow Brothers. She's gonna be throwing some fireballs, and then she's gonna try to chase you. And I just need to jump 2 times on the first phase, 3 on the second, and 4 in the last one, and we're done. The only difference with this boss, comparing this with the rest of the game, is that on the last phase, when you defeat her for the second time, she gives to us a milkshake. It's supposed that I should have used it here with the invincibility phase, but I received damage. There are 4 enemies here. That's 3. What's the last one? Okay. 1, 2, 3. And there we go. That was Magica. Maybe it looks easy, but believe me, it's not in any sense. Sometimes I consider that it's more easier to beat the Topor Tunnel at Battletoads instead of beating Magica. At least for the first time. Favorite Disney game? I don't know. I'm not like big fan of Disney games or somebody who plays a lot Disney games. But maybe I can consider this as my favorite Disney game because I don't used to play a lot of them. I mean, from the NES era, I like the Chip and Dale 2. I can consider that as my favorite Disney NES game. But I missed a lot of Disney games when I was a kid. I played most of the... Well, if we consider the Pixar games as Disney games, I have played some of them like Bugs and Toy Story 2 on the PS1. So here and the last warp room, if you consider that the rest of the stages wasn't a challenge, you're gonna have now your real challenge over here. This is the by default, this is the best mix of obstacles, enemies, and all that kind of stuff. With this bumping eyes, I will try to play slightly safely. Here lies the orb, and I don't know why that piranha made me damage. That's the first time that piranha made me damage in all my years playing this game. And this enemy with the mask is the annoying enemy from this warp room. The reason of that is because it has a weird hitbox. So I'm gonna try to... Well, if we see him in the front, I'm gonna try to kick him at his top right section. Because for some reason that's the only spot where I can hit that enemy. Otherwise I will try to skip it. And for some reason, these stages are the ones with the worst collision boxes for the floor. That can be helpful sometimes. See me jumping. See me jumping. I'm gonna try to defeat this enemy first. Okay, I got it, because that enemies most of the time can damage you easily, and in this section of the stage it's not recommended to be on the Mad Dog pace because there are no milkshakes. Mostly with this last section, but it doesn't matter because I have reached the end of the stage, so that was good. Slightly extended loading screen. I'm glad that I'm not having so much of them, and I hope that I don't get a lot of the rest of the run. Or at least not to get the ones that makes you think that the game has crashed or something. And also, talking about Mickey's Mania, there was something curious with the PS1 release, because the game was released on the PS1 as Mickey's Wild Adventure, but it was just a PAL exclusive. The reason of that is because when the game was released, I think it was in 1996, Sony of America wasn't so interested into 2D games because they wanted to show the possibilities with the 3D games on the PlayStation. So that's the reason why Mickey's Wild Adventure was just released in PAL territories. And the game sold very well in PAL territories. Even the game was released on the Platinum Hits line. And it's one of the expensive PS1 games also. Not so expensive, fortunately, but I got trolled by the drop jump. Sometimes this game is amazing with this kind of things. Yes. Nice. unless there's a checkpoint here. Tell me that we are done with the enemies with the masks, because honestly I don't remember up to this point. I'm gonna try to keep quiet for two reasons. The first reason is because I am trying to get focused on the game. In a game, weird hitbox attack. That's the first reason, and the second one is because I don't have anything to say. At least I wasn't so far away from the checkpoint, so that's kinda decent. Okay, for a moment I thought that I wasn't gonna land correctly. At last I reached the end. This was a good run until I start to die. It's still being fine, I'm gonna finish under my estimate. Thanks to that stuff, that's the reason why I like to be so generous with my estimate. Having a 9 extra minutes compared it with my PB, because everything can happen on this game. And no, don't worry, we haven't reached the Dark Souls point. We're gonna reach it on a bit. Well, technically, the next stage can be renamed to Dark Souls. And I have catch a toy. It's not required, but I catch it accidentally, and as you have seen, every time that Donald catches a toy, he's gonna start to move a specific part of his body, trying to dance. Can I say the A word? Some enemies like this one are exclusive for this stage. No, I missed the jump. Okay, never mind, I haven't missed it. It's a word with 3 letters. And I received damage. Okay, forget it. This is another trolling section. And here lies the last problematic orb. Okay, I got it. That's good. Because that bridge falls faster. So, and you need to do some tricky jumps if you don't want to die and you want to catch the orb for the first time. Donald shaking his heart. Well, if you wanna define it like that, it's good. It's fine. I approve it. I approve that. Donald, thank you. Ancient Fate, last regular stage, and if we remember that I have said before that after every checkpoint, the music changes. The music pattern changes. Speedrunning talking. This is the only stage that you can notice that, because the pattern it's weird at the last after the last checkpoint, because it changed the song to a different one. It doesn't keep the pattern from these stages. I receive damage. No. And there's a moonshake, but I cannot use invincibility mode. But it's fine. It's well, this is the only reason why you wanna get invincibility, just for those big fists. Okay, I was lucky. No! Okay, it's fine. I haven't got enough time to practice this, so I'm not surprised about what is happening, but besides of that, the run has been pretty decent. I've got the worst runs, even with practice. So, if we consider that I haven't got the time to practice this game, this went really fine. Trolling section, you need to do a double jump here because you never see that. You never see the fireball coming. That's a little advice that I give to my friends. Ese consejo les doy porque su amigo el fantasma soy. If you don't speak Spanish, don't worry. I have said the same that I have said on English. And please pay attention to the soundtrack on a bit, because we're gonna hear the music changing. And there we go, the music changed to the warp room music. I wanna assume that it was an issue when the game was being developed. Se habló español. Ceremonial room and the last stage, and obviously last boss. Now we're gonna face Murloc. Not a big problem. The only problematic boss can be Magica. Here some random parts of the floor are gonna fall down, then the arrows are gonna be shoot, there's gonna be a firewall, and then when you go back, the shield of Murloc is gonna disappear and you just hit him. Each space just sets another firewall. Well, except the second one. Well, yes. I don't know what I'm saying, honestly. Yes. So the time's gonna finish when I hit Murloc for the third time. It's gonna be on a bit. And Mad Dog pace. Not like this. And time.
Hey, what's going on with my machine?
And now Murloc was defeated. But this is not the end of this thing. We are gonna see what this Daisy was trying to broadcast, which was the Evil Murloc plans.
And now, all the energy in the same spot. Full power!
Be careful, Donald. Well, we just need to wait another couple of seconds. This cutscene is close to the end. So, in case that somebody was wondering, that was the machine that Merlock was developing, and now we're gonna see what does that machine was. Well, which was the objective of that machine. So please put attention because this is really important.
Oh, I know what this machine does. Brilliant.
Hey, maybe that's a nickel. Hmm?
And yes,
Murloc certainly had fancy taste. It's an extra chocolate popcorn machine.
a popcorn machine that put some chocolate into the popcorn. And well, ladies and gentlemen, this was Donald Duck when Quackers 80%. I was GhostSenpai, also known as Un Fantasma Más. I hope that you enjoyed the run, guys. And also, if you're interested into running this game on any of its versions, you can look into the leaderboards of the game at speedrun.com for a Discord server that we opened a couple of weeks ago. And we don't focus just on one version, we talk about all the 5 different versions that this game has, and also you can chill with another runners of the game. And also, if you have some doubts, mostly talking about the PS1 release, feel free to ask me. I will be so glad to help to everybody who is interested to running this game. Shoutouts to the Retrothon staff, aka to the people from Retro Gaming Live, for giving me the opportunity to showcase this game. Because also as Snow Brothers, both games I used to submit them to marathons, and usually that are the games that are usually rejected. And shoutouts to the Portuguese restream and Chiteiro, who was the guy who was helping to do the commentary of this game in Portuguese. I hope that you enjoyed the run, guys, but this is not the end of the marathon. There's a lot of cool runs that we're gonna keep watching on a bit, so keep enjoying this Disney vlog. I was GhostSenpai, and well, see you guys. Peace.